What is the best f-stop or aperture for real estate photography? Hi and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Rick McAvoy and I'm going to explain one thing to you in this video on my YouTube channel. This is based on the blog post which is being published on the same week. And in this post I'm getting very specific about the camera settings that you need to take the best real estate photos that you can. So the best f-stop for So the best f-stop, or aperture, I'll explain why in a bit, for general real estate photography is f8 or f11. Now, I will qualify that before you stop and comment saying he's talking nonsense, you're wrong. Just read the full blog post and then I justify my statement. And this depends on your specific camera lens. f8 and f11 will give you the highest image quality and at the same time the correct depth of field to get everything nice and sharp in a photo. Now I'm talking here about the best aperture for real estate photography. Okay, it's very, very specific. Right, so everything nice and sharp, correct depth of field. This is what we want in every photo, isn't it? So it's important stuff. Right, so that was the explanation. What does f-stop mean? F-stop's a term which is used to describe the amount of light that gets through a camera lens to the camera sensor. Now, f-stop's related to focal length, and this is where it gets a bit complicated. So do a Google search for f-stop, and some sources will say it's aperture, some sources will say it's related to the aperture size and the focal length. Other people will say other things, but do you know what? If we got rid of the term f-stop and never used it again and went with aperture, I think we'd all be good, okay? So from here on, I'm not going to use the term f-stop because I hate it. I had to do because, well, that's what people search in Google. So I'm not claiming this is technically perfect, but this is about the best aperture for real estate photography. Now, quickly, the exposure triangle. So aperture is one of the three elements of the exposure triangle. Your aperture, shutter, ISO. I'll come on to the other two in the next two episodes because I'm on a bit of a roll with this now. So, sticking with aperture. Now, I've tried this demonstration before, but it was quite frankly rubbish. So we'll try again. Aperture. Here is a Canon 6D. This is my camera with this Canon 17-40. Well, obviously it's my camera. It's not going to be somebody else's camera, isn't it? Let's see if this works. So, I press the depth of field preview button. Can you see the aperture? Not really. There you go. You can't. There you go. You can see it. So that's f4. That's maximum aperture. As I step down, it gets smaller. Sorry, that light's in the way, isn't it? Let's just move this. This is where the last one went completely pear-shaped when I moved the light. So there you go. That is the camera lens. Let's just find the depth of field preview button. Now on your camera, you might have a depth of field preview button. You can try this at home. So that's without pressing the depth of field preview button. And when I stop down, the hole gets smaller. Wide open, so maximum aperture, minimum aperture, and all the bits in between. Okay. This is my favourite camera and lens combo with universal L bracket. Just on the side really, because I don't really do much hands-on stuff with my camera, which I really should do, so we'll just put the light back. Okay, I should be pausing and editing and stuff. I don't know how to edit videos, so this is as good as it gets. So, on the Canon 17-40 f4L lens, maximum aperture, biggest opening is f4. I don't use that. Minimum aperture, smallest opening. Sorry, maximum aperture f4. That's the most light coming through the sensor. Minimum aperture f22. That's the smallest opening. That's the smallest amount of light getting through to the sensor. Don't use that either. You get more errors and softness at f4, maximum aperture, than you do at minimum aperture. But the best aperture is f8 or f11. Now, between f8 and f11, you probably can't see a difference unless you zoom in and really try and... Who's going to do that? Well, I don't know. So that's what the aperture is. I mean, what's it made of? It's like blades that close up like this. It's like an iris in your lens, but it's metal. Okay, and you can adjust it, and when you adjust that, you need to adjust other things on the exposure triangle. Okay, so the question was, what is the best f-stop/aperture for real estate photography? The answer is f8 or f11, subject to the clarifications and qualifications in the blog post, which you can read at rickmcavoyphotography.com/blog. Okay, I'm done for this week. Thank you for watching. I hope I'll see you on the next video. And also, why not check out my most splendid Photography Explained podcast? The website is photographyexplainedpodcast.com, and it's available to listen to on all good podcast providers. Thanks for watching. Cheers from me, Rick.